Dear boys, I've been working in the West End all this week, and using the tubes and buses a lot. I realized how well some of the girls are doing your job while you're away. You'll hear from me again next week. Good night, boys. Sincerely yours, Vera Lynn. We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. Dear boys, I've been working in the West End all this week, and using the tubes and buses a lot. I realized how well some of the girls are doing your job while you're away. You'll hear from me again next week. Good night, boys. Sincerely yours, Vera Lynn. We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day.
A notorious extermination camp whose name we had heard even in home. There was a skull and crossbones on every post. The sky and air were filled with grey smoke, the vapour of death. Surely this was hell on earth. Could God's light penetrate even such darkness as this?
The cardigan, take the cardigan off us. This is God's business, not ours. He will hide that which we can't. He will protect what he knows we need. So let him do.
Oh Lord, send your angels to shield me so that the guards cannot see me.
God,
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Okay, and welcome to our VE Day celebration at Unleashed Community Drama here this morning. Now, guys, we've got so much for you today. We've got a really packed program, which is really good. So we're starting off with a pretty major Throwback Thursday. And the reason why we're doing this Throwback Thursday, we're going to be looking at one of our productions that we've done twice. There are very few productions that we have done twice. In fact, I think The Hiding Place is John's Gospel. We've done twice, which is the very first one we ever did, way back in the day. And then we sort of reinvented it as Into the Lights. And then we did The Hiding Place. Now, The Hiding Place, okay, is the only one that we've done sort of set absolutely in the war. And it's about this amazing woman called Corrie ten Boom. So that is why today we are going to be looking at it, because obviously we're celebrating VE Day, which is victory in Europe, which was 75 years ago. And obviously the massive sacrifice of millions of people, deaths of millions of people. You know, the day that victory was proclaimed over Europe was a massive day. I'm just conscious of the fact that, you know, a lot of us guys are all sort of down, locked down and struggling. We're in our 7th week. And isn't it interesting that this is week 7? This is week 7 of Unleashed Community Drama, the virtual drama group. And it was 75 years ago. Last week, it was our 6th birthday, and it was episode 6. Okay, so guys, I was thinking of doing something about Star Wars, because obviously Monday was May the 4th, wasn't it? May the 4th be with you, Star Wars. So next Thursday is the 14th. So we're going to say, May the 14th be with you. Next week, we're probably going to have a bit of a Star Wars theme going on. So if any of you are sort of like, you know, Star Wars or science fiction, we'll sort of put a whole sort of widen it out type of thing. Next week, it's going to be about science fiction and Star Wars, which is great because we missed May the 4th. So anyway, so we have got loads of fun and games today. We've got loads of guests, which is great. So first of all, though, I thought we'd do a bit of a warm-up, okay? And we're going to do a bit of a warm-up with some charades. But if you want to get up off your sofa, you know, you've probably sat there in your pajamas. I don't know whether you bothered to get up. Perhaps you're even in bed watching me. Okay, so we're going to do a bit of stretching. Okay, bit of stretching. Get off that sofa. Okay, shake your leg. Shake your arms. Shake your neck. A couple of deep breaths. Okay, we're going to breathe in for 4. Hold it and then breathe out. Breathe in for 4. Hold it and then breathe out. Okay. So guys, I hope you can all see me. Let's have a look. What I'm trying to do is see if we've got some comments up the side here. Hopefully you can hear us. Hopefully you can see us all okay. We're going to start with a bit of charades. So if anyone is out there and you want to say hello, that would be great. That'd be really good. We're going to start with just a short round of charades, and then we have got a really, really packed morning. So what we're going to do first of all, we've got some war. We've got some war films. So Second World War films, and you've got to try and guess what they are. So is anyone out there? I don't see any live any comments yet. So hopefully. I can see that people are watching, but I just need you to put some comments on there. So guys, first of all, okay. I'm going to wait till there are some comments before we do this, actually, because otherwise it could be a bit embarrassing if I've got no one to guess what we're doing. So I think what we'll do, we're going to come on to that second. I'm going to shunt things around a bit. We are going to do, first of all, actually, a bit of a shout out, okay? And we do this every now and then. In fact, we've been doing it the last few weeks because there's actually quite a lot to shout about. And we've got a new avatar today. Look, Nick. Now, Nick knows this. Unfortunately, my colour printer has died. So, unfortunately, he's got a black face today, black and white face. But I'm going to change it once we get my color printer sorted. So here we go. So big shout out for Nick. And the reason why I've got a big shout out for Nick is because he is a year clean, which is really fantastic. So we videoed him yesterday talking about that. because obviously recovery is a really tough thing. And so it's really important that we honour people who are doing so well. And obviously, Nick, he's done a whole year. So I'm going to hand over now, and we're going to have a little chat with Nick, and he can tell you for himself how he feels about it all. Here we go. Right, here we go. Let's get this set up. Okay, so here we are with Nick Murphy. Now, Nick Murphy, listen, mate, it's so great to give you a big shout out, because you're in our Something to Shout About. And the reason why you are is because you have just celebrated a year of being clean. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, just 2 days ago. I didn't think I'd make it to that at times, but I have.
Yeah, well done, mate. I mean, it is a massive achievement, and you know, all power to you. I mean, I think it's great. You must feel really pleased with yourself.
Yeah, I am. You know, it's my life's changed completely. You know, I've lost the obsession to use. You know, I still get fleeting thoughts, but you know, I've got defence against them, which I never had before, because as soon as it came into my head, I'd go and do it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm really thinking my life's starting to go forward.
This is really good. So for those guys who perhaps don't know much about you, I mean, obviously, Nick, you've been involved with Unleashed for well, a couple of years, really, haven't you? Because I mean, you came and then you went and then you came back. So you've sort of been back with us a year. Do you want to just give us a little bit of background for those guys who perhaps don't know you so well? You know, about your links with Unleashed and how we've got to know you.
Yeah, well, I started coming in 2017 when I came into the local rehab centre, the Jattis Project, and I came to drama there then, but I really didn't mix a lot with it. It was like I was too self-obsessed. Because, you know, I didn't want people looking at me. I felt embarrassed, you know, and I ended up going back out there after I got kicked out. And I had another relapse for 2.5 years, which was horrendous.
Really?
Which got me into a lot of trouble, and you know, I lost another relationship, and I hit it even harder. And then I'd hit rock bottom, another one. And last year I lost my job and my driving license, beginning of last year. And it was like, I can't do this anymore. It was awful, basically. I was living on my benefits, which my rent was included, and I was spending it in 2 days.
Really?
And I had to go a month without anything. But so I came back into the Jattis Project beginning of last May, and one of the first things I did was come back to drama.
Yeah.
You know, and got involved, and I was in all the worlds of stage just a little bit. In the summer of last year, I mean, that's my first production, so-called. I was terrified. I only had to do some rubbish dancing, and it was like all eyes on me. You know what I mean? It was
the Blood Brothers thing, wasn't it? You were in the Blood Brothers section, weren't you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I can't remember actually, because I'd just come in. But it was a lot of fun because it was over a 3-day period.
Yeah, it was.
You know, so it was really good, and I carried on with drama, got involved with more little bits. Then you gave me that script for the washing up scene, which I just fell into. I felt comfortable with that because it kind of related to my addiction as well.
We watched it last week, Nick. It was great. Really
little bit.
Because you and Laura did it.
And
then, of course, you've been in a big production in January.
Washing up scene, which I just fell into. I felt I was in
because it
kind of led across, and The Switchblade?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I had a few parts in that, which I really enjoyed. You know what I mean? It was hard work.
A lot of rehearsing, wasn't it? I mean, it was very polished. It was a very polished production. It was great. You guys were amazing in it. But listen, Nick, you know, it's really heartening to think, you know, you've come as far and stuff. What would you, because you're on the 12-step program, aren't you, at the moment? So where are you up to? Which step are you on with that?
Well, there's different ways of doing 12-step programs. I'm doing it for me. It's a more thorough way for me, which is through the green and gold, how it works and why. And for me, I'm not the quickest at doing them, but I'm just going to be starting my step 4 and 5. Yeah, but do you know what? I've been trying to get recovery for the last, since 2012. And I've been going to meetings since then, and I've 3 meetings centres, and this is the only time I've actually done this stuff. And I see it work for many of my friends, because a lot of people that are in recovery, there's new friends, but there's friends that I've known growing up. And it works for them. You know, I used to think I was hopeless case. Why can't I get this? But you know, by doing this stuff with the help of the treatment centre as well, I've managed to stay clean and turn my life around. You know, my kids didn't want to know, or one of them still doesn't really want to know me, but my other son's back in my life. My ex-missus, we're on talking terms. It's like I'm calmer now than I used to be.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is down to meetings, sponsor, 12-step program, getting service meetings. Every little bit in its own way helps.
Yeah, totally. And we've been talking about the hiding place, the play that we did all about forgiveness, and Corey Ten Boom, who was in sort of a concentration camp, and how she was a big advocate of forgiveness and sort of reaching out to people. And obviously one of the 12 steps is actually making amends, isn't it? What's your sort of take on all of that? Forgiving yourself and making amends to other people, because I know that's one of the further steps, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a step 8 and 9. You write a list on step 8, and then step 9 you actually make the amends, as long as it doesn't harm yourself or others. It's my amends for me at the minute is staying clean. I destroyed my kids' lives, everyone's lives around me. I conned money out of friends they didn't want to know. And so basically it's just staying clean. As long as I stay clean, everything will be all right. And a big key for me was I always dwelled on the past of what I'd done, which always took me back out there.
Yeah.
But, I've just got to accept that is what it is and move forward.
Yeah, no, totally.
And the way I can do that is by keep doing what I'm doing. Yeah. And when I celebrated my one year the other day, the amount of congratulations and comments I got on Facebook, I didn't even realise I knew that many people. And that really touched me. It overwhelmed me. I mean, Eddie and the NA crew, Mark and that, they all came round with a cake for me. People have never done things like that for me, like friends. All it's been about is what I can do for people. Yeah. Whether it's drive them about, give them money, lend them money, whatever. You know what I mean? Buy them drugs. I don't have to do that anymore. People like me to be me.
Yeah, they do. I mean, I'll tell you, Nick, you are such a great guy to have around. You've got such a great personality. And my gosh, you are such a good actor. You are such a good actor. And I think, guys in the group, I think are really encouraged by having you around. And so, this is a massive thing and it's a really big achievement. And so I just want to really congratulate you. I think, we are so pleased to have you around, and you are such a great guy. And the fact that you've done this, just really want to applaud you, mate. Honestly.
I love drama. You know, just watch out, Hollywood.
Yeah. Well, you know, we've got this guy from Hollywood coming on in a week or two.
I know.
It's going to be.
Okay.
Yeah. He's going to be talent spotting. Listen, mate, thank you so much for sharing, and you know, great to have you around. And there's going to be loads of opportunities when we come out and stuff. You know, I mean, you were just great as the wall the other day. So funny.
Yeah.
So well done for doing that.
I look like Humpty Dumpty. It.
It was great. It was so good. But listen, mate, well done. And you know, we'll see you regularly on this. I've got an avatar coming for you. Unfortunately, my printer's just packed up, so I can't print your head out. So I don't know.
No!
I know, but don't worry, mate. It's on its way. It's on its way. By the time we get out of here, I tell you, everybody's going to have their avatar. You know, I've got about 6 people so far, so the group is growing, and everyone's going to have one. So you're next on the list, mate. All right.
All right. Thank you, Martin. It's been a pleasure.
All right, mate. Listen, you take care. We'll see you soon. God bless.
All right. See ya. Bye. Bye.
Okay, so that's lovely, Nick, and that was actually recorded, obviously, yesterday. That was recorded yesterday, and bless him, hasn't he done well? So here we are, Nick. Hope you're watching. Yeah, your little black and white face. You're gonna have it in colour when my colour printer works. Look at your tats. Look at your tats. This is all good. So you've joined the crowd of people who've got an avatar. So well done, mate. Really good. Really, really good. Okay. So you were probably wondering, what was that clip that we showed right at the beginning, at the top of the club today? And that was, a section from the original hiding place that we did, which we did in 2006. Can you see that? And we did it at Upton Vale. And look, there's a picture of the lovely, there we are, Alexa and Ben. And look who that is. That is my 13-year-old son, as he was then, little Sam. Little baby Sam, dressed up as a Nazi. So that was 2006, all right? And then we did it again in the open air, much bigger set, massive thing, to be fair. And this was the second thing that we did about Fast Abbey. And if you look, our lovely Rachel, there she is, lovely Rachel. She played Corrie ten Boom. And we've got a little documentary that we're going to show about that, because this is our our big throwback Thursday, because it was quite a big deal when we did it, and we had a documentary made about it. So I'm going to show you now a little bit about. I'm going to get this set up. Sorry, here we go. Here we are. Let me get this set up, and then you can see the next thing. This was made about production. And the reason why I wanted to focus on this is not only because obviously it's VE Day, but I'm conscious you guys in community drama, perhaps you're not aware that Unleashed Theatre Company has been going since about 2002. And Unleashed Theatre Company, we are a big community theatre company. We put on big productions. They're always with an agenda of hope. That's what I like to say. Always with an agenda of hope. I mean, obviously the last thing we did was the Cross and Switchblade back in January, which was fab. But this was way back in the early days, and this was when we were just becoming Unleashed Theatre Company. We were just a ragtag bag of people from all over South Devon, different churches, different faith groups, and what have you, who came together to use the arts to do something that was positive for the community. So this is a little documentary, part of a documentary, mind, that our lovely friend John Gingell put together for us back in the day. So it's a little bit dated, because obviously this was made back in 9 years ago. But have a little look at this, and I think you'll enjoy it. And hopefully you guys who come on a Thursday, it will give you a bit of an insight into what the rest of the theatre company is about.
Rehearsals were at Upton Vale Baptist Church. Were a fantastic time of fellowship for people from various different denominations. We had quite a big budget for this last project for the hiding place, and we had many professional contractors involved with putting in the seating, building the set, the lighting, the sound, all of which gave it a really professional feel. Well, guys, welcome to Buckfast. We're here at last. Dress rehearsal and the week of the actual leading up to the production, very, very exciting. This was where the whole cast moved from Torbay over to Buckfast, where we had a week of intense rehearsals, rehearsing on the set and getting to know all the backstage areas. Buckfast Abbey were very generous. And the hospitality was very much a part of the fellowship that we enjoyed over there. Obviously, this was a production that was in the open air, so a lot of prayer went into praying that it would remain dry. And although the whole week went without us having to cancel any of the performances, there were a few occasions where the heavens opened and the cast were rained upon. In fact, in Act 2, when it was set in concentration camp, many people felt that the grim weather conditions actually added another dimension to the whole production. The team of technical people that were involved with the last two productions were highly professional people, bringing to this production a high level of skill and creativity.
So unlike you to sound so hopeless.
I know, my girls, but I must speak what the Lord has laid on my heart, not in promises made by those we cannot always trust. I'm sorry for all judgment.
Because we know that suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance, character, and character, hope.
Why should I start suddenly calling him Mr. Smith?
Instructions from Corey. Now, please don't argue, Papa. We may be nothing might
The four Gospels. No longer a prison, but a home.
Okay, so that, guys, is a little excerpt of the hiding place that we did at Buckfast Abbey. That was the documentary that was made about it. What we have done, which we thought would be a real laugh, was 2006 is a long time ago, but I would have to say that the hiding place was probably one of our most successful performances. First time we did it, we had to put on extra performance because people really wanted to come, so we put on an extra performance. What we have done as a bit of a laugh, I don't know whether you've ever seen on those telly programs where they get together the right, let me just find it, here we go, where they get together the cast of things like, The Sound of Music or Grease. And, Rizzo from Greece is like sort of 110 and, or The Sound of Music, and like little Lisa, she's now like a sort of an old woman. So what we did yesterday was we got together the key cast from both of our productions of The Hiding Place to reminisce, and oh my gosh, we had a bit of a laugh. So guys, they're all faces you'll know. Lovely Margie. Ben, of course, was in Millennium Mysteries, and he comes along on a Thursday sometimes. Obviously, Calvin was in it. Lovely Alexa, who was in Crossing the Switchblade, who's been, with us for a long time. But I'll let them explain what's what. So we're going to have a little look at this now. And hopefully it will put a smile on your face.
Okay, so this is very exciting. This is like one of those terrible documentaries on the telly, like where they bring back all the cast from The Sound of Music 75 years later, and like little Liesel's like a wizened old woman. So we've got the cast from our two productions of The Hiding Place, which I have to say was probably the best costume, one of the best, the best costume drama in the sense of we've done it twice, the actual the play. It was so good, we did it twice. And it was very much one of the first productions we ever did outside of a theatre. We did it at Upton Vale, I think, in 2006.
Yeah.
And then it was the second play we did for Buckfast Abbey in 2011. So I'll just go around very quickly. We've got our lovely people who you're very familiar with. Margie was obviously played Betsy in the original production of A Hiding Place with Alexa here. I don't know whether it's the right position. She's underneath me. She played Corrie. So you two played it for the whole week, and it was an incredible production. If you remember, so much so that we had to put on extra production on the Sunday because so many people wanted tickets. When we did it the second time, we had two casts. I don't even remember this. Rachel, who we'll talk about in a second, lovely Rachel, walked in from having, been in the military in Afghanistan, then walks in and gets the lead part, having never done anything. What? Okay, no, I'm joking. And she walked in.
Exaggeration there.
Oh, no exaggeration, Rachel. You know what I'm like, come on. And she played Corrie ten Boom, and obviously with a lady called Wendy. And then Jude played Betsy with Chloe Axford. And Ben, you played Papa. You are probably the most the unique person here in Uniqua, in that you played Papa in both productions. And then, of course, you've got Calvin, who played the brother in the second production, but you were also in the first. So guys, it's great. It's great to have you here, and we're going to just do a little bit of reminiscing. So I think we should go first to Margie, because everyone knows lovely Margie. And Margie, you played Betsy in the first one. So what do you remember most about the very first Hiding Place we ever did?
Well, it was. I must admit, because it was the very first. I've been in St John's Gospel at Little Theatre, where we all played little cameo parts. It was the first ever in my life that I played a big part, and to play Betsy was a real privilege, and I just so enjoyed working with Alexa. It was fantastic, just being together as sisters there. It was absolutely great. But one of the funny things was that I was going a little bit grey then, and so that I thought, well, I better have a wig or something to look a bit younger. So I bought this brown wig, which was quite long, and I did it so I could put my hair in a bun, so I looked kind of old, very old-fashioned. But when I wore it for, I think, the dress rehearsal, I was walking into the rehearsal and everybody was going, hello, because they couldn't recognise who I was. Now they were all looking as if, who's that? No idea who that is.
It was very close. It did look a little bit like a cowpat, didn't it, Mark?
It did, yes, it did. But I have to say, it was being the first time I'd ever played a part like that, it was very daunting, and I thought, oh, help.
You were amazing.
It was a great experience, and I just absolutely loved it. It was just
very
brilliant.
Even though I parts.
Yeah, even though I got beaten up by Martin Dean.
Okay, well, Alexa,
but it was great.
Alexa, you played Corrie ten Boom in the first one, and it was a really, I think it was a massive step up from John's Gospel in terms of production and everything. We threw loads of stuff at it, and it was really, really professional. But I think what made it so professional was the central character that you brought to it. I mean, you were incredible as Corrie ten Boom. What's your remembrance of it?
I think playing that person, it did feel like a huge responsibility, playing this incredible person. And I'd read the book years ago. I read the book probably back in the 70s. So I was familiar with the story and familiar with her and her, well, just her, everything that made up her to try and convey that. And that Margie said, doing that with Margie as well. And we got so close to each other through the rehearsal time, and I felt that the whole cast was really supportive, but we seemed to develop quite a special bond, I think, that we still have, Margie, we still have that.
Yes.
There was one funny thing that I do remember. When we were first mic'd up, first time we were mic'd up, there was a scene where when I'm first in prison, and I'm in this cell, and it smells of sick, basically. And that makes me vomit into this bucket, which was okay in the rehearsals, but was the first time I did it with the mic. that sounds really awful, because it kind of echoed anyway, because I was in the bucket, and then picked up by the mic. And so I think I toned the sickness down a bit.
I'll tell you, Alexa, I watched the whole thing the other night. My gosh, I'd forgotten what an amazing production it was. It was really fantastic production. Really, and you and Margie were incredible in it. You really were. It was. I was gobsmacked how good it was. To be fair, even though I directed it. Anyway, that's a really fantastic. Now, Rachel, can we go to you? Because obviously, Rachel, what was lovely about you was, I think you hadn't been in the Bay long or something like that, but you haven't really done anything, but you did this amazing audition. And we'd already decided that because it was such a big part, that we were going to cast 2 Corries and 2 Betsies and 2 puppets. And you got the part just like that. What's your remembrance of it?
I was late. I was lost. I didn't know where it was. It was lovely Steve Perks who stopped me in a coffee line and said, because I was serving coffee, are you interested in drama? Do you want to come along to this rehearsal? And I hadn't really done any drama before, except one little sketch with Steve in their little drama group in the church. And I turned up late because I'd parked at the wrong end of town, and I was sweaty and stressed, and I sat down and was given this piece of paper to read, and I'm dyslexic and reading is not my favourite bit. And I got the part, and it was just crazy.
Well, I mean, Rachel, you were really, really good. I mean, you and Chloe paired up together. It really worked well. It really, really worked well. It was so good. It was so good. I mean, obviously, it was different, very, very different from the one at Upton Vale, because it was in the open air. So it was a much bigger set, and we had like massive military vans and, stormtrooper, more Nazis stormtrooping, stomping everywhere. It was great. Jude, you played Betsy as well, didn't you? And you played opposite, I think, Wendy. What's your memory of it? Because it wasn't right, sort of like the sun didn't shine all week, did it? Let's put it like that.
I've got loads of memories of that week, because, as Alexis said, the relationships that you form during rehearsals are just so precious. And, they still are to this day, all these years later. One of the abiding memories that I have from that actually is the weather, because it was outside and gosh, did it pour. And I remember just being on set thinking, Martin, come on, you're going to have to stop this. And the set was blowing away. Everything was really wet. I thought, oh, Martin, stop it. But then it did actually slow down and stop eventually. But gosh, that moment was... I
tell you, Jude, because when we did What's Amazing About Grace, we had beautiful sun all week.
Yes, we did.
We had dry weather. And so my memory of is there's a line that I think Rachel said at the beginning when they're setting up the birthday party, and she gets up off the table in her front room. She says, "Oh, Papa, you have such a lovely day for your birthday." And it was pitching down with rain in their front room, and all the makeup. I think, Ben, your makeup was running because it was in the pouring rain.
Oh, absolutely.
But
it's great fun.
I mean, what do you remember of that, Ben?
Well, I remember that particular scene where I've got to deliver these absolutely important lines right at the front of the stage, and I'm sitting behind a table with a tablecloth on, trying to keep the tablecloth from blowing away.
Yeah.
And I'm heading towards the front of the stage, and in those days I needed more white in my hair, the white powder stuff, in order to make me look sort of older. Don't need it anymore, as you probably see. But in those days I did. So you're walking towards the front of the stage to deliver this crucial line, and these crucial lines of white stuff are pouring down your face, and everything's going completely pear-shaped. Oh dear, oh dear.
And there's all the audience sat there, sort of like...
The other good thing is that everybody else doubled up, so we had two Betsies and two Corries and this, that and the other. Yeah. They were doubling me up, but the chap who was doing it got called away just before we went in. However, mercifully, I got murdered during the first act.
Right. You didn't have to learn the dance in act two because you were dead.
I was, yeah, it's great. So it wasn't that bad because of that. But then,
For those people that don't know the play, or you'll see a little excerpt shortly, is that the whole of Act 1 is set in, I think in Amsterdam, where they were and they had the Burge in their house, and then where they were hiding the Jews. And then Act 2 is in the concentration camp. It's really grim. And I think actually a lot of people did say that although the weather was quite inclement, it actually did add to the sense of horror of what it must have been like. You know, you've got all these women in these terrible sort of like, Holocaust, sort of gowns, digging in the pouring rain with Martin Dean, hitting them with his whip. So, Calvin, what's your memories? Because obviously you were in, I think you were in it the first time, weren't you? When we did Upton Vale, were you in it? But then the second time you were actually played the brother, and you got to wear this, didn't you?
The lucky tank top.
The lucky tank top.
in fact, the lucky tank top featured in the next few productions.
It did.
And my recollection is that Martin Dean and I were at loggerheads. It was a bit of friendly banter as to who got the parts, which would mean they could wear the lucky tank top.
Well, I think, didn't you wear it? And what's so amazing about Grace is that sort of weird character in the bookshop. You wore the tank top. And then I think what we tried to do was we tried to get it into every production, even if people wear it underneath costumes.
No, it's all part.
Definitely made an appearance in Shadowlands. It definitely came out.
Yeah, you wore it in Shadowlands, didn't you?
Yeah, it did. It did. Okay,
it's all part of the banter which helped the whole production flow in rehearsal. But for me, the starting point, in some ways, with The Hiding Place, was several weeks before, when we even started rehearsing, because at the church we were doing some interior building work, and they discovered within the cavity of a wall in the church was many copies of the Herald Express from the 1930s. So I made a donation, being a bit of a saddo, to buy a whole set, and I dutifully read them all. It was set in the years of the Great Depression, with the prospect of war on the horizon. So of course it was those Herald Express copies that we used in the play to add authenticity to the whole production. Well, of course, it saddened when it was raining and we were watching reading the newspaper, or pretending to, and of course all the print was running.
Talking about authenticity, Margie, do you have a bit of a memory of what the conditions were like backstage? Because it was not, I know it was World War II, but it was almost like being in the Somme, wasn't it?
It was, yes, absolutely. Yeah, it really was. I mean, when you were at the backstage, if you were backstage, it was literally plowing through mud. And we were all our shoes and everything was covered in mud. It was just amazing how we got through it all, actually, I think. And when they came off the truck going to the concentration camp, that really was actually, it was absolutely horrible. And it did actually make the atmosphere, worse, I think, for seeing them coming off those trucks.
It did.
It's perhaps not the greatest acting sort of weather.
but Jude, you were reminding us that actually, when it comes to that saying, theatrical saying, break a leg.
Yes.
Yeah, hang on, we got to stop. I think in a second. Hang on a sec. We got to keep it.
9 minutes. 9 minutes.
Yeah, 9 minutes. It's all good. Okay. Break a leg. Well, tell us about that, Jude. Your memory.
Well, I remember that this was the first of a hat trick of unleashed broken legs. So in The Hiding Place, it was Vanessa who broke her leg when she was coming off stage, going along these very muddy, wet boardwalks to go back to the changing rooms, and she broke her leg. And then the next one was Anna Mavera a few years later, and she broke her leg on stage. I think that was on the dress rehearsal.
That was Godspell.
And then Godspell. And then Josie.
Parts, and we had to share her part, which we could do with the 5 main characters, which I think, Rachel, you were one of those main characters. So
it was. I spent a lot of time rolling off the floor.
Took on one of her scenes. And what was the other one, Jude?
So the last one was Josie. She broke her leg just before None for All Seasons.
Yeah.
And so I lost Josie's very valuable help because she was assisting me quite a lot.
Yeah.
And so that was very difficult.
How Roz got involved, because Roz came in at that point.
Was.
Now,
She did.
I'm conscious of the time. So Alexa and Rachel, obviously you played the two really massive parts, and you know, both of you were amazing. Both of you were amazing. Here we are. Look, we have the memorabilia to prove it. Look, so that's Alexa. There's Alexa. Can you see that? And then look here. Here's Rachel. Here's Rachel. Look at that. Look at that. All right. But have you got anything to say about you know, how you prepared for that role, and you know, what it meant to you at the time? Because I mean, we are having a laugh here, but actually it was a really thought-provoking play about forgiveness, and thought-provoking about, you know, a bit like us, you know, if you think they were hiding Jews for a long time and they were all shut in, and then also that, you know, they survived the most terrible thing and came out the other side. What are your thoughts about the play?
Do you want to start, Alexa?
Okay. I was only going to say, I think it was a really clever script because there was a lot of book cut down into really quite, because it wasn't a long play, not a really long play. And all those elements, to have been able to pick out the real central elements to her story and put them into this script. And it kind of created its own emotion. There's the scene where Betsy is dying. I don't know if you found the same, Rachel, but in the scene I found where Betsy was dying, I cried every night. Yeah. I couldn't help it. The words were so beautiful. Like, well, it was something like, well, will we always be together? I was saying to her, will we always be together? I know you're dying, but will we always be? And she said, yes, always together. And it was so emotional. And then, because it then moved on quite quickly, I had to try and pull myself together and like, come on, we're in the next bit now, stop. But I think actually the script itself generated the emotion. Yeah. I don't know if I felt the same way. So I did, you know, yeah. I was very focused all through the time that we were doing it to try and hold the emotion in me so that I could replicate it, I suppose, if it wasn't there, but it always seemed to be there.
And of course, it was written by our dear chum, David Robinson, who's become a real friend to Unleashed and actually wrote Millennium Mysteries for us, you know, from scratch 2 summers ago. And he's a lovely guy. And my gosh, and he also part wrote the Cross and the Switchblade. And a lovely, supportive bloke, but a fantastic writer, you're absolutely right. What about you, Rachel?
Well, so I was a beginner actress, and so found that I was surrounded by these amazing actresses and actors. I was blown away by all your professionalism. I had to have some training from Martin on how to fall on the ground and sob, which I've
You've pretty much been typecast since then. If you're not being thrown on the floor and you're rolling around screaming and writhing, it's not really a part for anyone else, is it? I mean, it's got to have Rachel's name on it.
But I found the story arc of Corey. I didn't know Corey before. I had never heard of her. But what I found was really, really heartening was that at the beginning of the play, everyone else is the really top Christians who are going, oh, we should pray about this and having the faith for everything. And Corey was just kind of practically doing stuff, but not having that deep faith. And it was that arc of how she'd gone through so much trauma and being thrown across the floor and going through that total heartbreak of losing her dad and her sister and being totally isolated and singing happy birthday to herself to an aunt. And coming through to the other side where she's got so much faith that she can forgive the person who's caused her so much pain, the people that have caused her so much pain, and then go on to do this amazing missionary, really, of speaking peace and forgiveness to the world. And I'd never heard of this woman, and she's still my hero, really.
Yeah, no, totally. Well, guys, we're going to have to sort of tie things up, actually. Thank you ever so much, everyone, for coming. Ben, it's lovely to see you. And of course, Ben was in Millennium Mysteries as one of the monks, and you were brilliant in that. And I know you come along occasionally on a Thursday morning, and we love having you. And I know that you do a fantastic job at Upton Vale running Fresh Hope, and you've invited us to that, and we've really enjoyed coming and doing that whole mental health thing, because it really is something that affects a lot of the guys in community drama. So do invite us back, because what you're doing, Ben, is a really fab job, and it's lovely having you part of the Unleashed family. I'm going to finish with a little bit of music from Simon's amazing music. Do you remember he wrote this? This was the theme music, and it was the first thing that Simon ever wrote for us, and he's gone on and written loads of music. Doesn't that bring back memories?
Yes.
I should be walking
with the wings for it to start. I still remember that first day, you know, lockdown. Guys, thank you very much. And we'll see you all soon. All right, take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. So guys, that was yesterday. That was yesterday, having a good old reminisce. And we're gonna have a story now. We're gonna have a game now. But I just wanted to share these, which Jude sent across. We were having a laugh yesterday, which were just some some pictures. I don't know if you can see that. Look, they told me you slapped people in last year's show too. Can you see that? Here we go. So I've written down for each of you when I'm going to be on the Elaine Page show. I love this one. Is that my agent? Look, do I have a wet weather clause? And then this is a great one. So basically, Alison Gagg, who's a lovely person from Buckfast Abbey, who commissions all our productions. Every year she'd put together a really hilarious book after each production. Real sense of humour. Lovely person. So this one here. So it says here in my equity handbook that actresses don't have to sit on wet ground more than 3 performances running. And this has got to be my favourite. In the second half, we all get starved and beaten. Such fun. And look, there's Jean Tolchard. In the second half, we all get starved and beaten. Such fun. Right, so guys, talking of Jean, we have now specialist subject quiz. Ta-da! Specialist subject quiz. And today it's all about the Second World War. Now, there's a surprise. So guys, the way this works, we've done this every week so far, and I'm going to need someone who's got a specialist subject interest in Star Wars next week, because it will all be science fiction. Neil, are you into science fiction? Maybe, one of you guys? Anyway, so we're going to do this quiz. And the way it works is I'm going to do the questions, and then you've got time to answer them. So if you want to get a pen and paper, it's just a bit of fun. And then we're going to get the lovely old Jean. Did I say old? Didn't mean that. Lovely Jean Tolchard on the phone. She'll kill me. Jean Tolchard, and she's going to then do the answers for us. So you've got a chance to do this. So here we go. Right. Who during this is the first question. There are 10 questions. Right. Question 1. Who during World War I was known as the Forces' Sweethearts? Okay. Who during World War II even? Who during World War II was known as the Forces' Sweethearts? Actually, if you were listening right at the top of club this morning, you would have heard her voice. Okay. Question 2. Germans' campaign after the Battle of Britain to bomb British cities and ports was known as what? So Germans' campaign after the Battle of Britain to bomb British cities and ports was known as what? Okay, question 3. How many eggs were included in one person's weekly food allowance during rationing in World War II? Okay, question 4. What was the first commodity to be rationed in the Second World War? So, what was the first commodity to be rationed in the Second World War? Question 5. What was the name of Vera Lynn's radio program during World War II? What was the name of Vera Lynn's radio program during World War II? Okay. Question 6. Introduced in 1938, What was the item that was extensively used on the home front during Second World War air raids, normally found in people's gardens? Okay. What was the item used? Question 7. What nickname did the British give to the V1 flying bombs that were aimed at London and southeast England during the latter part of World War II? What nickname did the British give to the V1 flying bombs that were aimed at London and southeast England during World War II? Okay, question 8. Name the popular American band leader who died during World War II when his plane disappeared whilst on a flight from London to newly liberated Paris. And then question 9. Name the novelist and playwright whose Sunday evening radio show, the postscript, was credited with strengthening civilian morale during the Battle of Britain. So name the novelist and playwright whose Sunday evening radio show, the postscript, was credited with strengthening civilian morale during the Battle of Britain. And question 10. What monumental event took place on the 9th of August that brought the Second World War to an end? What monumental event took place on the 9th of August that brought the Second World War to an end? Right, we're going to get Jean on the phone. Here we go.
Hello.
Hello, Jean.
Hello there.
How are you, Jean?
I am very well indeed.
It's very good to hear you.
Very well.
Very good to hear you, Jean. This is lovely Jean Tolchard. She's there every week, Thursday Club. Now, Jean, you've agreed very kindly to do the specialist subjects, and you're going to give us the answers, hopefully, to our Victory in Europe quiz. So,
Well, I'm certainly going to try.
Well, this is great. Okay, so question 1. During World War II, who was known as the force's sweetheart?
Oh, that was definitely Vera Lynn.
Vera Lynn, definitely.
And she's now 103 and still alive.
And still performing. Just done a thing with Michael Paul,
isn't she? #1.
She did, yeah. Amazing. 103, incredible. Right, question 2. The Germans' campaign after the Battle of Britain to bomb British cities and ports was known as what?
The Blitz.
It was known as the Blitz.
And I can remember standing in my road, and London was 17 miles away, and all you could see was a line of flames right across the horizon.
Oh my goodness. So how old were you, Jean? I know you shouldn't ask a lady her age, but obviously, you know, you were around then. How old were you during the Blitz?
I must have been 6 to 7, I think.
Yeah. Okay, my goodness. Right, question 3. How many eggs were included in one person's weekly allowance during rationing in World War II?
Now, I'm going to admit I didn't know this, but it was 2, and the reason I didn't know it is that we used to keep chicken.
Oh, okay. So you had your own source of eggs. This is good. Okay. So question 4. What was the first commodity to be rationed in the Second World War? What was the first commodity to be rationed in the Second World War?
Now, again, I was too young to know this, but it was petrol.
Yeah, it was.
And my father used to cycle the 17 miles up to London and back to go to work.
Oh, my goodness. So he didn't use any petrol with that. This is true. This was introduced on the 8th of September, 1939, just 1 week after the outbreak of war. Okay. So what was the name of Vera Lynn's radio program during World War II?
Now, I think that one was Sincerely Yours, but the one I remember best is Workers' Playtime.
Yeah, it was Sincerely Yours. Well done. Yeah. We can play a little clip, hopefully, at the end of that. Okay, and then, question 6. You're doing very well, Jean. Very well. Introduced in 1938, what was the item that was extensively used on the home front during the Second World War air raids and could be found in people's gardens?
Now, do you mean blackout or shelters? There was the Anderson shelter.
Yes, that's the answer I'm wanting.
And there was the Morrison shelter, which filled up your sitting room.
Yeah, no, it was the Anderson shelter. It was the Anderson shelter. So well done. Yeah.
Mhm.
And the Morrison shelter was the one that went under your table, didn't it? I remember my mum talking about that.
The
Yeah.
Morrison shelter went under across the room.
Yeah.
It was about as big as a double bed.
Wow. Wow. And saved a lot of lives. And you remember your Anderson shelter, don't you, Jean? We were talking earlier.
Yes, I do, because we've actually lived in it.
Oh, really?
I was only a mile and a half from Bigham Hill Aerodrome, and we had virtually continuous air raid warnings, dogfights overhead, and all the bombers going across us to London.
My goodness.
And my mother was terrified, and we had an oil heater, and she used to cook on it, and we had bunks in the shelter, and we just lived there.
My goodness. My goodness. And let's go to this, and then I'm going to ask you about, because you were also evacuated, weren't you? But let's go to question 7, and we'll have a little chat at the end about when you were evacuated. What nickname did the British give to the V1 flying bombs that were aimed at London and southeast England during the latter part of World War II?
Well, there was the doodle bugs and the buzz bombs, and we used to listen for the engine to stop. And when the engine stopped, you knew they were coming down, and you all died for your shelter.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. My mum remembers it. She often used to talk about it. She used to say, "Oh, we were terribly badly bombed. We were terribly badly bombed." You know, because they lived in London as well. They didn't want to leave London because my uncle had terrible asthma. Okay. Name the popular American band. Number 8. Name the popular American band leader who died during World War II when his plane disappeared whilst on flight from London to newly liberated Paris.
It was Glenn Miller, and he was able to get a beautiful soft sound with brass instruments.
Yeah. Moonlight Serenade. That's his famous one, which again we played right at the beginning.
String of Pearls is the other famous one.
That's it, String of Pearls. Okay, so this is quite a tricky one. I don't know whether you guys out there are going to get this one, but it's a theatre one, which is why I put it in. Name the novelist and playwright whose Sunday evening radio show, The Postscript, was credited with strengthening civilian morale during the Battle of Britain.
Now, I'm going to admit I didn't know this one either. It's not a person I would have thought of. It was J.B. Priestley.
Yeah, no, because you said it probably, you would have thought someone like Noel Coward or something like that, who was around at the same time.
I'd have thought somebody more like that.
Yeah, but it was J.B. Priestley.
And I can remember listening to Valentine Dial.
Valentine Dial?
A very, very eerie voice.
Oh, really? He wasn't Lord who was Lord Haw-Haw? He was one of the enemy, wasn't he?
Oh no, that was somebody else.
Yeah.
He was an English person who in fact was a Nazi supporter.
Yeah.
And that was horrible.
Yeah. Okay,
very glad to see the back of him.
Yeah. So the last question then, Jean, you've done very well. Okay. What monumental event took place on the 9th of August that brought the Second World War to an end?
Well, the thing that brought the war to an end was the falling of the atom bomb.
Yeah, it was. It was.
And I don't think anyone expected at the time that it would be so horrible.
No. It was.
Or the results would last so long.
Yeah, no, totally. Well, because obviously we're celebrating victory in Europe, which is obviously tomorrow, which is 75 years ago, 1945 in May, and then which was the 7th of May, and then of course the war came to an end 6th of August with the dropping of the atom bomb. So well done, Jean. That's good. But listen, Jean, tell us, because you said that you were evacuated during the Second World War. What happened with that then?
Well, it wasn't for very long. I think it was only about 3 to 4 months. I didn't realize at the time because, when you're children, you just accept things. But I think it must have been a very, very poor farmer. And there was a farmer and his wife and his adult daughter. And we were in this bare room. It was the attic. But it had stairs up to it. But the roof was not very good. And we used to have to put a waterproof sheet over the bed. There were 3 of us in the bed, my mother, my brother and me.
Oh my goodness.
And we had to put a waterproof sheet over it if it rained hard.
My goodness, gosh, that's a memory, isn't it? So do you have any
we used to have a tin bath was about an inch of hot water.
Oh my
And
goodness.
as I say, you know, I mean, the farmer was, I think, pretty badly off anyway. And probably that's all that they could manage. And we used to all have to share the same water. So my brother went first because he was smallest. And then me, and then poor old mum, she had to have what was left.
My goodness, those were the days. Unbelievable. Aren't we lucky to be, you know, to live in times of freedom and liberty? I mean, you know,
People just don't realise. And I mean, rationing didn't end until the coronation in 1953.
No. My sister Jean wrote a very interesting thing on Facebook the other day, and it just made me struck home. You know, talking about this whole lockdown thing and people struggling. And she put this: remember, our kids aren't being evacuated. We don't have ration books. Bombs aren't dropping, and it won't last 6 years. Our parents and grandparents survived that. I think we can survive this. I think, you know, when you look at what our forefathers, our parents, you know, people like yourself, Jean, grandparents survived, they came through it with a smile on their face, didn't they? So I think we can probably do the same with this, can't we?
And a cup of tea.
Cup of tea! Yeah, totally. Listen, Jean, it's been lovely having you here.
A cup of tea was the cure for everything.
Yeah, absolutely. A cup of tea cures everything. Absolutely. Listen, Jean, it's been lovely having you and talking to you. We do miss you guys. Can't wait till we can all be back together. But thank you for coming on.
And I do hope everyone is okay.
Yeah, bless you. We've just been seeing you being pulled out of a truck and beaten by Martin Dean, Jean. So, you know, we've had a little clip from Hiding Place. Do you remember that?
Oh, I do indeed.
Yeah. Such fun.
The marvelous, you know, you actually felt at the end when they said that we were released, and we couldn't believe it. And by then you were so involved with the play, you actually felt that.
Yeah. It was grim, wasn't it? I mean, Act 2 was a really tough play to, you know, put on, lots of awful scenes. But
wasn't that the one where we had a deluge one night?
We did. We've been talking about that, Jean. We've been talking about that already.
We had to mop the stage.
rolling around on the floor in the pouring rain, Jean. Yeah, exactly. All right.
Somebody in bed, and you know, the bedclothes are absolutely soaking.
I know.
They were dripping.
I know, totally.
And yet the audience stayed.
Yeah, absolutely. True pros, you know, show must go on and all that. Well, listen, Jean, we've got to move on. But thank you so much for coming on, helping us with the answers, and we'll speak to you soon. All right, bless you. Take care.
Can I send my love to everybody?
Please do. So it's lovely, Jean. In fact, yes. What do you want to say, Jean?
Well, love to everybody.
Oh,
and take care.
Bless you. All right, we'll see you soon.
Let's all meet again.
Yeah, let's meet again. We'll meet again. Don't know where. Don't know when. Yeah, totally. All right. Bless you, Jean. Take care. Bye then.
Thanks, Irene.
God bless. Bye. That's lovely, Jean. This is great. Okay, guys, what we're going to do now, we have got a couple of Corona songs. My goodness, are you in for a treat this morning? Are you in for a treat this morning? We've got two absolutely hilarious Corona songs. So we've got Laura, who's done a fantastic video for us, so professional, I tell you. And we've got Calvin and his son, Simon, have put something together. So I tell you, this is going to be fun. So let me just set this up. Here we go. I'm just going to set it up, and then you'll see. Let's start with Calvin, and then we'll move on to Laura's. But this is very, very, very funny. Okay. I have to apologise to Calvin because I was hoping to have printed out the words so you could see the words as well, but unfortunately my printers suddenly decided to go into ghost mode. So here we are. This is Calvin and Simon's.
Restrictions ease 3 weeks time. Captain Bojo's return has started to guide us towards salvation. why we're waiting here for you. Gonna take a lot to restore normality. There's nothing that 100 men with faith cannot do. Let's build an NHS in Africa. We need to share with the poor the things they never homeless cry out in the night as we grow restless, longing for some social company. We know that we must do what's right, sure as Kilimanjaro rises like the embers of the flame. We seek to cure this COVID plague, frightened of a sickness deep inside. Gonna take a lot to restore normality. There's nothing that 100 men with faith could not do. Let's build an NHS in Africa. We need to share with the poor the things they never had.
Okay, isn't that fab? Isn't that fab? So funny, so funny. Really, really hilarious. So hang on, I'm going to get Laura. Here's Laura. Laura, here's your avatar. Right, so let's put Laura there. Okay, so you can see Laura. Just while I get Laura set up, because Laura's written a song, which is absolutely fab. So I'm going to get this set up as well. Calvin, that was really fun. Really, really fun. When we come out of here, we're going to have a concert and we're going to hopefully perform all of these. Now, guys, you really are in for a treat here because Laura's gone to a lot of trouble with this. Oh my goodness! I think you're going to love this. This is great. This is. So we've got so many gifted people in our group. It is absolutely fantastic. So here we go. This is Laura.
Well, I'm trying to avoid a fight. I can't seem to do anything right. I'm so scared in case I lose the remote. That look 'cause you want your hands around my throat. TV to the left of me, laptop to my right. Here I am stuck in the house with you. Yes, I'm stuck in the house with you. And I'm wondering what it is I should do. I wash up, but I always do it wrong. And when I'm singing, yeah, you don't like the song. TV to the left of me, laptop to my right. Here I am stuck in the house with you. Well, we started off alone together. We were having lots of fun. Now you miss your friends who call. I know you want them back, but please, please. You try to do the best that I can, but I know that I'm only a man. Is it cool to sleep in the bed tonight? Why did I use that bleach? Now everything's white. TV to the left of me, laptop to the right. Here I am stuck in the house with you. Well, we started off alone together. We were having lots of fun. Now I know you miss your friends you call. I know you want them back, but please, I'm trying to avoid a fight. I can't seem to do anything right. I'm so scared that I've lost the remote. Like the horse you want your pants grandmother to. TV to the left, that's to the right. Stuck in the house with you. Yes, I'm stuck in the house with you. Here I am, stuck in the house with you. Yes, I'm stuck in the house with you. I've lost the remote.
Okay. Wasn't that fab? Oh my gosh, that was so fab. I tell you, Laura, so clever. Calvin, so fun. Really great. Really, really great. So, guys, what we're going to do now is we're going to... Where's Mark? Where's Mark? Here he is. It's Mark. Hey, Mark! We're going to do Thespian's Poetry Corner. This Poetry Corner, I tell you, has become a really great part in the club. And what's really good is people are really writing. Can I just say, if Claudia's watching, Claudia, I've got 3 more of yours. My goodness, you got enough for a whole poetry book. Going to get you on next week to do your latest. Loving it. Really loving what you're doing. It's really good. They're really quirky, but, you know, some really good stuff coming through. Some quite thought-provoking stuff as well. So what I thought we'd do, obviously, because it's, you know, VE Day, I thought we'd look back as well. Where's Mark? He can hold the, he can stand there just for a minute. Just while I'm saying the next thing. I thought we'd look back to some of the stuff that we did. Because I think it's lovely to look back and see Endeavour House. We miss old Endeavour House and all being together. And if you remember, we did a special armistice thing for 100 years of the First World War. And we looked at the war poets. We looked at people like Wilfred Owen, looked at people like Rupert Brooke. And we did some drama around those, where we took a poem and we then we acted out like a sort of a drama around the poem. So we're going to look at a couple of these because, guys, these are really, really good. So this is the first one, which actually was, this poem was a favourite of my mum's, Soldier by Rupert Brooke. You'll know it. Yeah, their First World War, but the sentiment, I think, applies to now as well. So here we go. Where's my little mouse? Here we go.
If I should die, think only this of me.
If I should die, think only this of me, that there's some corner of a foreign field that is forever England. There shall be in that rich earth a richer dust concealed, a dust whom England bore, shaped, made aware, gave but her flowers to love, her ways to roam. A body of England's breathing English air, washed by the rivers, blessed by sons of home.
And think, this heart, all evil shed away.
And think, this heart, all evil shed away, a pulse in eternal mind, no less. Give somewhere back the thoughts by England given, her sights and sounds, dreams happy as their day, and laughter, learnt of friends, and gentleness, in hearts at peace, under an English heaven.
In
Hearts at peace, under an English heaven.
Okay, so that's Rupert Brooke's The Soldier. Then we've got here Dulce et Decorum Est by Wilfred Owen, which, guys, if you remember, we put you into groups to come up with a different activity or a different drama for each one of these poems. So this is Wilfred Owen's Dulce et Decorum Est.
Bent double, like old beggars under sacks, knock-kneed, coughing like hags, we cursed through the sludge. Till on the haunting flares we turned our backs, and towards our distant best began to trudge. Men marched to sleep, Many had lost their boots, but lived on, bloodshot, all went lame, all blind. Drunk with fatigue, deaf even to the hoots of gas shells dropping softly behind. Gas, gas, quick boys! Next year fumbling, fitting the clumsy helmets just in time. But someone still was yelling out and stumbling, and floundering like a man in fire or light. Dim through the misty gases, a thick green light, as if under a green sea I saw him drowning. In all my dreams, before my helpless sight, he plunged at me, guttering, choking, drowning. If with some smoldering dreams you too could place behind the wagon that was furthering, to watch for white eyes grinding in his face, his hanging face, and the devil's safe sin. If you could hear what every jolt, the blood come gurgling from the frothed lungs, seeing his cancer bitter as the cud, with fire and cruel sores on his tongues. My friend, you would not tell such high zest to chew an arm for so desperate glory. Then unloving, dulcet to call rest, pro patria mori.
Okay, so that was Dolce et Decorum Est. And then our little hat trick talking about the war poets. I've got to say, this is one of my favourite moments from that morning that we did. We did a whole morning of like war poems and little sketches. And this is from Blackadder, and it's the famous Blackadder poem.
By Jove, sir, I'm glad you're not barking anymore. Well, thank you, George. Well, it looks like you are. You had an opportunity and you didn't take it. Absolutely not, sir. Can't wait to get stuck into the Bosch. Get stuck into the Bosch? You'll have a chance to get stuck into the Bosch where we're being cut to bits by machine gun fire before you get in charge. So what should we do now? We'll do one of our war points, sir. Will you be hurt if I'm honest and say no? I'd rather French kiss a skunk. So would I, sir. Oh, go on then, Baldrick. Hear the words I sing. They horrid thing, but still I sing, sing, sing. Ding-a-ling, ding-a-ling. Bravo! Well, it's started badly, tailed off to in the middle there, and as for the end, well, the less said the better, but otherwise it was excellent. Shall I do another one then, sir? I wouldn't want to pain you, Baldrick. Oh, don't worry, I could go on all night. Not with a bayonet stuck through your neck, you wouldn't. This one's called The German Gun. Very spiffing. Let's hear that. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom, boom. How did you guess, sir? Gosh. Spooky, eh?
Oh gosh. Oh, I tell you guys, I just love that. That's so good, so good. And isn't it great to see Endeavour House? You know, it's great to see where we meet, and you know, lovely familiar faces. Lovely Wayne. Hope you're okay. We miss you guys. You know, we haven't had Wayne on yet. We've got to get Wayne on, and we've done one of Alla's poems, but Alla, we need to get you on as well. So it's just lovely seeing you guys. So we are going to get Mark on the phone because it is obviously Thespians Poetry Corner, and Mark's got a poem for us. So guys, can I just say, if you've got a poem, all right, it'd be really great if you can still carry on writing these poems and what have you, because right, here we go. Call Mark Tootle.
Calling Mark Tootle.
So good, isn't it? So good. Okay, let's get Mark on the phone, see what he's got to offer us today.
Hiya, Martin. You all right?
Hi, Mark. How are you, mate?
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, mate. Spot on.
Good. Well, listen, mate, we've just been watching you doing the Baldrick sketch, you know, where you do boom, 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 boom.
Oh, no, not that one.
We dug it up from the
I don't
past.
believe it.
It's about 18 months, 2 years ago. you got, oh, seriously, mate, it was great.
Nice one.
How are you doing? How are you doing, Mark?
Great. Spot on, mate. Brilliant.
Good, man. Now, you've got a poem for us again. Yes, yes, yes?
Yes, 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 I have indeed. And I've got one about VE Day.
This is great. It's almost like the whole thing's been planned.
Oh, well, it might have been a bit of planning in it. I don't know about that. You know me at my age. I'm at that funny age, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Good man.
Right. Okie doke.
When you're ready, mate.
This poem is about the reflections of an old man who was a schoolboy throughout the war years. So you're getting a schoolboy's take on the war. Now, bear in mind, school children have a different perspective than we do. That's where the influence of the poem comes from. And if we think of him as a sort of a Dennis the Menace type schoolboy, that would help a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, so am I good to go for it, yeah?
Yeah, please do. Please do. We're all, it's all good. It's great.
Right. Oh, here we go. It's called Reflections, and I've subtitled it, Was It Really Like That? So here we go. It's 75 years since VE Day. I remember I was just a lad. Are these rose-tinted glasses? No, things weren't all that bad. My memories are fading. Now they just come and go. I'll share a few if you like. Where we'll get to, I don't know. We had to bathe in 6 inches of water. I remember sitting in our old tin bath, struggling to wash me vitals. Even me granny was having a laugh. I remember sitting on the outside loo. The seat, oh, it did creak. One morning, after I'd wiped me bum, I had an imprint of Churchill on me cheek. We got a letter from me dad. My mum said he was a desert rat. She'd called him a bastard often enough. I thought, oh, has it come to that? I saw a land girl in the fields, working with a hoe. I saw her later on that day, holding a farmer's marrow. Powdered egg and stewed prunes. Was this the rationing solution? It may have kept you regular, but it didn't help for air pollution. Our milkman seemed to come around a lot. Sometimes he didn't knock. I asked my mum what's going on. She said something about his gold top. VE Day was a huge affair. I remember sitting in the park. However, calling it Victory in Deutschland Day would have been quite close to it, Mark. That's it.
Really good, mate. Really, really good. Really good. I'll tell you, mate, so good.
Reflections, yeah.
Yeah, really good. Really good. God, you're so clever. Do you know, what's so interesting is also the tin bath thing came up as well. With Jean, you know, she was reminiscing about, you know, an inch of water in a tin bath. So, you know, that's all good stuff. Well done, mate. You are so clever. Listen, mate, we're going to rush on because we're actually running out of time, but thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, just
okay,
love.
No problem. Catch you soon then.
Yeah.
Take care.
God bless.
Yeah. Bye. Bye for now.
Really good, Mark. Okay, we're gonna rush on because we are. Oh my gosh, look at the time! I can't believe it. Right, got a couple of other bits and pieces, really important bits. Okay, I want to show a very quick bit from the hiding place. We're really going to town with this morning. The reason being is that I just want to explain what the play was about. The play was about Corrie ten Boom, who set up this. Who basically survived the concentration camp where her father and her sister were killed. And then after the war, she set up this ministry of forgiveness, helping people to come to terms with what they'd done and also being able to forgive what people had done to them. And this is the final scene from the hiding.
One visit to Germany will always live with me. A church service one grey winter evening in Munich. and no place too dark that his light cannot penetrate it, and no sin too black that the blood of Jesus cannot wash it away. Our sins are at the bottom of the sea, washed away when we turn to Jesus and repent. Praise him for his faithfulness.
How good it was to hear, Caroline, as you say, that our sins are at the bottom of the sea.
Yes, my friend, the Lord is good.
You mentioned Ravensbrook in your talk. I was a guard there. Since then, I've become a Christian, and I know that God has forgiven me for all the evil things that I did there. But I'd like to hear it from your lips, Caroline. Will you forgive me?
But I knew him. I tried to raise my hand, I could not. I felt nothing. Not one slightest spark of love or forgiveness. I saw his face mocking Betsy when she could no longer walk. I saw him whipping women with his leather crop, smiling all the time. Betsy was dead. And yet here he was standing in front of me. Lord Jesus, I cannot forgive him. Please help me. I can lift my hand, I can do that much. You do the rest, Jesus. I forgive you, brother. I forgive you with my whole heart.
Okay, it's lovely to have Roz here, and just as we were saying, lovely Roz, you obviously you've been involved with Unleashed for many years, and you're on our acting team, and Brian's a trustee, and you've directed for us, and just done pretty much every job there is to be done. But I don't know whether people know that actually also you were a fully qualified counsellor in your previous life. So that's why we're talking to you now, because we're talking about this whole thing of forgiveness and the place that has in perhaps finding peace within ourselves. So Roz, you've heard the conversation about the play and what the play was about and the wonderful work that Corrie ten Boom did. What is your, from a professional point of view as a counsellor, your take on the whole area of forgiveness and forgiving yourself?
Yeah, I think forgiveness is a really key area for everybody, not just lots of people. For everybody. And I was thinking of it particularly in context at the moment with us all being locked down, because if we're not with someone else, we're with ourselves. And of course, in that time of being with ourselves, there's lots of things that can go around in our minds, and sometimes they're not very helpful, and they take our moods up and down and round and round, and we may dwell on things that we've found hurtful or just not happy in ourselves, and they might lead us to feel low or depressed. So forgiveness is part of the way out of that, actually. I know that lots of people say, oh, well, you should forgive. And forgiveness is something that doesn't always come easily. There's two parts to forgiveness, I think. There's forgiving the person and there's forgiving yourself. Because without forgiving and being kind to ourselves, we can't move forward either. So forgiveness is about recognizing the situation, seeing what's happened, not just revisiting it and just feeling angry, because you will feel angry if you feel that you've been done wrong to, but coming to a point where you can say, okay, I'm going to let this go. I'm not going to keep concentrating on this today at this minute. I'm not going to let it buzz around in my head like a blue bottle. I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to squash that blue bottle.
Yeah.
It actually say, I forgive that person. That may be the words. Now, there may be things that have affected you so badly that you may actually need to talk to someone else later about how that's impacted on your person.
Yeah, I mean, that is really helpful, Roz. And I think with a lot of people who struggle with addiction, very often the root of that is an adverse childhood experience where as children they've been perhaps abused in some way or neglected or had something awful happen to them. And I think, you know, it's very easy to glibly say you've got to forgive them, but if something, very often people turn to drink and drugs because something really terrible has happened in their life. Trying to block it out, exactly. So if it is something really monumental, what would you as a professional counsellor say? I mean, you know, obviously thinking of coming out of, lockdown and stuff like that, you know, how do people get to a point where they can face the very thing that's perhaps, you know, been the catalyst for their life unravelling?
Well, I would say, having and now retired as a counsellor, that really you do need some professional help with that. You can talk to friends, you can deal with some of it yourself, but really you need somebody to guide you in finding your way out. It's a bit like being stuck in a maze. You know, you keep coming into the dead ends and ending up where you started, but you need someone else who can guide you out of that maze so you can become free of it. And it's not to diminish in any way the horror of what may have happened, but to acknowledge that and actually come to a place of peace with it, which may seem impossible at one point. But I've seen it happen. It is totally possible to do that, but you will need someone to help you with it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously one of the 12 steps in the 12-step program is actually making amends, you know, perhaps very often for stuff that we ourselves have done where we've hurt others or we've had an impact on other people's lives. But I think within the context of that also, there's the whole thing of, like you said, forgiving ourselves. And I think nowadays, not so much, but in the past, perhaps there was almost like a stigma about getting help from a therapist and it being very American. I mean, I myself, obviously, I've had counselling in my 30s. What would you say to someone who perhaps is struggling with something they just can't resolve internally, and yet they've perhaps got a bit of a stigma about going and seeing someone who's a professional counsellor?
I think one of the things that brings up, Martin, is, I couldn't tell someone else because they feel ashamed. They feel shame. And shame just means there's something wrong with me. Well, actually, there isn't anything wrong with you in one sense. What you need is to find your way out of that fog. You're lost in the fog and you need someone to help you out of it. Now, using the higher power, which is in 10 steps too, there are obviously those ways of asking for the higher power to help you, but actually asking another person who is experienced enough to take you by the hand and lead you through that difficult situation. And the other thing about forgiveness is that it's never a one-off. You're talking about Corrie ten Boom. Corrie ten Boom set up all those things about forgiveness after she left the prison concentration camp, and she said she'd forgiven. But the real test came when she was face to face with that man who had been damaged and killed her sister. And so forgiveness isn't a one-off. Sometimes it's exercised for years. But we have to just keep saying, no, I do forgive that. And it's also an act of will as well as a decision. It's a continual. It's like breathing. You have to keep breathing. You have to keep breathing. yourself healthy. There are things in us that we have to do to keep healthy. And one of the things we have to do too is not to allow that thought, that negative thought, to just buzz around like a balloon bottle in our head. Get it out there. Let somebody splat it for you.
Yeah.
I want to lead you.
Well, Ros, that's really, really helpful. I think it's perhaps dispelled a few, views about what counsellors can and can't do. And obviously, perhaps if there are people watching this and they feel actually that is really them, they've got some issue that goes right back to their past, they would want to talk to someone. Obviously, when we come out of lockdown, we can facilitate and help you find perhaps the right person that you need to speak to. So, Ros, thank you so much for joining us. And
listen, everybody, take care of yourselves.
Yeah, bless you. Well, it's lovely to have you on, and Ros, we'll see you probably in the next week or so. But thank you so much for joining us. All right, take care. God bless.
Okay, guys, we've run over by about 10 minutes. I do apologise, but just wanted to say some serious stuff has come up this morning. So, if you want to talk to people, you've got our numbers. It's been quite thought-provoking, but I think, we have grateful hearts this morning when we think about VE Day tomorrow, and it's been good to look back on the past, of the good days that we've had as Unleashed, and the good days that there are ahead. Guys, I know some of you have been struggling, but we will get through this just like they did in the Second World War, and we will be better people for it. So I'm sorry we've gone on. I'm sorry it's gone on longer than we should by 10 minutes, but listen, we'll be here next week, all Star Warsy and science fictiony next week. So if you are a specialist subject in science fiction, get hold of me. But until then, go out tonight, clap the NHS, and we'll see you all next week. God bless. Take care.